So we're into the third T1 versus Sandbox game. Now the reason why this is quite interesting is because this is now they can win off 3 games basically, which is going to be insane. So we can see the Azir getting banned again. They also banned Faker LeBlanc. They realize as well that they just can't play into it. So Faker has actually had 2 of the first bans prioritized towards him, which is pretty impressive. Jay's banned 2 just because he's very, very strong. Probably going to first pick something like a Viego, or I can't see them going Diana again, but maybe they do. Either Viego or Zin, to be honest, would be better in this B1 slot, but the chances are he's probably going to pick Diana here. Or they take something like, oh no, there we go, the Viego comes out. I mean, it was pretty obvious they were going to take Viego away. One has been performing pretty damn well on it, but now we'll see what T1's response is to the Viego first pick. So what did they prioritize going into it? So maybe the Nidalee, I know they did look to play this before as well, so I mean the Nidalee would be pretty good in my opinion, just because it's a very aggressive early game jungler, which means that, you know, she can potentially walk up, and as long as they get mid prio, which they have R5, so they can almost guarantee that they get mid prio, and the Nidalee can actually just permanently walk into the jungle and just kill Viego while he's farming. So that's something that we might see happen, to be honest, and I hope so. They pick up the Leona really, really early here, but they haven't banned the Trundle, so Sandbox might just respond with the Trundle here, which again is a very, very good pick into the Leona, and I don't think they're going to flex Viego to lanes, but they're actually just going to pick up the Na. Okay, so he's just cycling through champions right now. Maybe they're just Aphelios Thresh, to be honest, which again is a very, very good combo, and I think is extremely powerful in the bot lane. So yeah, Aphelios Thresh came out. So we're probably going to see something like an Ashe for the side of T1 now. Or Varus does also work, actually, just because Varus Leona combo is extremely powerful. If Varus gets his ult off on somebody, then Leona gets her entire combo, which I'm pretty sure that's about 5 seconds of hard CC, so it's extremely powerful. So let's see what the bans are going to be. So in terms of Sandbox, they're looking to just pinch bot lane as a way, so we're going to see an Ashe ban, I think, whereas T1 are looking to potentially, you know, just punish these solo laners as much as possible. Now I do think they might actually just ban the Na to avoid top getting it here, and they ban the Diana as well, but that doesn't really make too much sense, because that would imply that Viego is in lane, but I mean, which he might be, but I don't know. I don't think that Diana has done anything really in these games. She really hasn't been that much of a factor at all, really. So interesting to see. So the Aurelia ban. So they, okay, that's fine. So they're looking to oh, sorry, I said that Sandbox were looking to pinch bot lane, but they're not. I just got confused. Sorry. Aurelia ban away. I mean, Aurelia is ridiculously strong. What are they going to look for? R4 here, so I mean, they're probably going to look for their top laner, to be honest. So I mean, I could see the Na coming out here just so that they can, you know, pick something that can still be a lane bully and, you know, can blind pick, and, you know, they do like blind Nas. Yeah, so there we go. So it's not necessarily because Na is like good, it's more so because he can just be a lane bully, which allows your jungler to focus on other sections of the map, and Renekton is banned, which means that, you know, you don't get that setup with the Nidalee. But in mid lane right now, they're probably thinking of something probably like the Twisted Fate, or just something with a lot of setup that they can play this 2v2, since the 2v2 between Faker and Warner is insane. So they did take the cannon away and the Sylas. So Sylas is very good here into the Na pick, because Sylas can steal his ultimate and basically use it without it being conditional. So Sylas is actually a really, really solid pickup here, and the cannon can actually trade back. So Sandbox actually have an extremely good team right here. Faker potentially looking for the Orianna into the Sylas. I guess this is just so that he can get early lane priority and allow Nidalee to kind of do whatever she wants and kind of be really aggressive, especially considering Sylas is obviously gated by the fact that his E is a little bit harder to land. especially if Orianna goes boots first item, which she could potentially do here. And, you know, then it just ends up in a situation where she just gets free reign to kind of do what she wants. She can kind of force prio at certain stages of the game, which allows Nidalee to just walk into the jungle and completely ruin this Viego. So we'll see what's going to happen. I would expect this game for Viego to probably start blue buff and path towards his bot lane, but he does have the option to path towards top lane due to the fact that there's a Thresh in bot lane. Whereas for the side of T1, let's just skip a little bit. Whereas for the side of T1, I think then Nidalee is going to prioritize just getting red and maybe even just going for a straight invade, to be honest. I think that's probably the best play, because again, Viego is going to start blue buff, which means Nidalee can go red into basically killing him on his wolf camp, or even his grump potentially. So Nidalee is actually going to solo start here though, I think, just so that it disguises where she's starting, just because if she does start red and gets a pull from that, for example, they know that she's leashing topside, so or that she's getting a leash topside, should I say. So we are going to see, oh, she's actually starting blue. Okay. So she could look to start blue and then invade him on red, but I don't think it's as good. So we shall see. So they do actually clear away that ward. Doesn't really change as much in bot lane. If that was in, say, mid lane, getting that one ward allows you to get level 2 of 6 minions instead of 7, which can potentially win you the lane, especially if they don't take into consideration that level 2 earlier spike. So that's pretty important. Nidalee is maybe even going to just full clear. Maybe she might actually look to full clear. I think that's a little bit of a waste, because Viego is kind of vulnerable inside his jungle, and Orianna is going to be able to get prio as well. So I think maybe this is a little bit defensive. I would like to see... Faker did actually manage to push up for prio in order to get that chickens ward, which is extremely valuable. This is why these early game kind of pushing champions are great. Now we do see a little bit of an engage in bot lane. I think Leona started E first there to get that trade off. So Leona is playing very aggressive, and also this is, you know, it's pretty good. Now, although Thresh does hard counter Leona in a way, since if she goes to jump in, if he flays as she's about to hit, then it'll actually flay her away, which is really, really bad, obviously, since you're planning to go in. But Nidalee is just looking to full clear. Now, the problem is with this is Nidalee is full clearing into top lane, which she's doing this so that she gets somewhat prio for the Scuttle Crab, since, you know, Aphelios and Thresh are going to push bot in constantly. But Faker with the solo kill, maybe. He backed away, so he didn't want to fully commit to that. He was just trying to get Silas's flash. He didn't really have the mana to keep going, and he knew that he would end up dying to Croco if he continued going, since he did have a ward over the chicken camp at that point, I'm fairly certain, so he knew where the jungler was. So very, very controlled and self-aware gameplay from Faker, and you really do love to see it. Now, he is going to potentially just look to reset here, I think. Actually, he does have cookies, so he doesn't even need to reset here. He can punish the Silas by poking him out under the tower constantly, which is just going to push him away, and it's going to mean that he can actually just push these waves in and have a very, very good time. Now, Nidalee is up on CS against a Viego right now, which is a very, very good sign for the Nidalee, and she has gone with the double amp tome, so she really does mean business. One thing that you can do on Nidalee here is, instead of going double amp tome, you can go one amp tome and a dark seal, and that gives you more kind of scaling potential and more kind of impact in, you know, say 10 minutes time when you're fully stacked that dark seal, unless, you know, the game gets really sloppy and you get a ton of kills. But at this level you don't really expect that. So by going double amp tome, she's literally going to do as much damage as possible, just raw damage as well. So as you can see here, Leona actually went in, and she is here ready. So she does actually save her Q, but she does miss it, unfortunately. And she does have to back away, so that's very sad to see. If she would have hit that Q, then that fight would have gone way different. So a little bit sad to see. Now, Nidalee is one of them champions that even if you are amazing on Nidalee, then you're not going to hit 100% of your spears. If you go for, say, 50% hit accuracy, then that's still fairly good. That's a good ratio to aim for, to be honest. But Croco is actually coming in for another gank on bot lane, but Leona really shuts that down by just jumping on him instantly. So Cannon's getting pushed into tower and top side. Faker is doing pretty well in mid lane, to be honest. Like, considering he did force Silas to back though, you would have thought the CS gap was a little bit bigger, but that's no problem. He's still very, very ahead, and the Viego hasn't really come into mid lane once yet, so the Viego is prioritizing this bot lane where he shouldn't really be going for it. What Viego should look to do this game is come into mid lane when he has set up from the Silas, so he gets a few early kills, and then use those early kills to translate that lead into bot lane, and then shut them down instead. But right now we see that he's not really doing that. So nice sidestep by Faker to get away from that empowered Q damage though. So we do potentially see a kill by Canner on top lane. He does manage to get his ult, but he doesn't manage to land the follow-up W. The Nidalee spear, though, does so much damage. Max range spear there. Absolutely melting the cannon right now. So the Nidalee is getting very, very strong, and you can see why she went with that pure AP, because then she can get spears off that are that kind of big. Now, the thing that you can do with Nidalee is if you throw 10 spears, you never have to commit to any of them until you hit one. So if, say, for example, you throw your first spear and you hit it, if it's a good time to commit, you can. But then after that, you know, if you just keep going for poke, you don't really need to commit to your spears until you know that you can 100% get the kill. Now, this becomes a lot easier as well when you've got stopwatch, because it's much easier to dive in and do a lot of damage. But Nidalee is on her alternator spike right now, which means her damage is going to be so large it's unreal. So we are looking to see if she will like what she will do with this damage, but this is looking very good for the side of T1, even though it's very even right now. Now I do think T1 will get outscaled this game, due to Aphelios, Kennen, and Viego, and Silas as well later on into the game. He's got some pretty good ults to steal from. Now ult, Varus ult, Leona ult, and Orianna ult. Even if he just goes for, you know, kind of using the, like Eing in and then ulting himself with Orianna Ball, it's still very, very good for them. But Croco is actually just going to get the dragon right here. Which is, you know, it is pretty fine. One thing I would have liked to see is Nidalee, you know, trying to look to engage into the enemy jungle a little bit more here, but it's kind of fine that she doesn't as well. But she's just going to go for another full clear. She does want to get to her Sulk Shoes now, and then what you do is Nidalee, she'll get Sulk Shoes and Smite upgrade, and then she can just take so many 1v1s, it's unreal. Varus gets ulted, Q'd by Thresh, but he does manage to cleanse and use his flash to get out of that. So Varus does have no summoners now, and Aphelios does have a very large CS lead, but still they're doing very, very well in this bot lane right now. So Nidalee is, again, just getting this Rift Herald, which is, you know, it's completely fine. So she's going to pick up Rift Herald right now and potentially use that. I would like to see this used a little bit more in bot lane. Now, Aphelios is more of a hyper carry like game, whereas the Varus is more kind of like a facilitator for his team with the CC and kind of supportive nature of him, especially considering he has this serrated Dirk now to the Aphelios Vampiric and Noon Quiver, which he did just sell his tier 2 boots. I guess he just assumed that since the Varus is poke, there's no real need for those tier 2 boots. We do see though that Warner actually manages to steal the blue buff away from Croco, but Effort is already making his rotation to move up. Now this does mean that Aphelios is a little bit kind of alone in bot lane, but that doesn't really matter too much due to the fact that the wave's actually pushed in for Aphelios so we can farm kind of safe. So as long as Thresh gets down here now before this wave starts slow pushing, which he's already moving for with tier 2 boots, that's going to be completely fine. Now Aphelios is trying to kind of stop this wave crashing into the tower so that he can get a slow push off it, and Varus' job is to try and crash into tower. So Varus is actually going to back away and leave that because he doesn't know where the Thresh or the Viego is right now, so he can't really push for it too hard. And now the Aphelios has a slow push, so I'd be really interested to see if this Viego actually comes to this slow push. The Silas is walking down already, so he could potentially come and help this, but overall this is a very kind of dangerous situation for the Varus to be in, and he does actually manage to defuse the slow push, so it's actually okay. So now we actually see a fight in mid lane. Keria manages to get out there by Eing onto the kind of backline and then getting towards a Varus. Wanna, you know, he's just going to keep throwing spears at them now, like, and see if he actually hits. If he ever actually hits one of these spears, they're going to do so much damage at this stage of the game, considering he has Alternator and Blasting Wand. But this is one of the things when it does come to a champion like Nidalee. When you're playing against pro players on very low ping, it's going to be very hard to hit it. But she does manage to hit a spear on the Aphelios. 50% of his HP completely melted. And the Thresh as well. Another spear back to back. So now they're actually going to be able to siege this tower very easily and get control of this Tribush right now. Now Nidalee is just going to keep throwing spears over these walls and see if she can actually get anyone. Faker is coming with Orianna and he has his ultimate available. So they're looking to just get this tower as quick as possible, considering they do actually have a Herald as well. So Nidalee can put this Herald, but she's just going to keep poking over and over and over. We do see a TP coming in back though from the Silas, so Silas is going to look for a flank, but I really don't think he can flank this. There's too much poke damage on the side of T1. He does use his ultimate, which makes him kind of unstoppable to get away from the Orianna ult, but he doesn't really have that for the fight now. So Sandbox are literally just going to be here taking free damage constantly at this point, and Keria gets a really good pick on effort, makes him flash, and Croco also gets picked, but he manages to get away with the Thresh Lantern. So again, another spear on the Aphelios. Nidalee is going to look to just run him down right now and jump on him if she can, if possible. So he manages to dodge another, but this is kind of the power of Nidalee. You can siege so well because of the amount of poke she has, and Silas has decided to just go straight back into the mid lane. So again, they've just got a massive amount on this tower. Oh, Faker did get caught by Orianna, and he does try to sombrero her, but he doesn't manage to get it off, unfortunately. So Faker does just manage to walk away. Now, he doesn't have his lost chapter yet, so he's not really going to replenish much mana here, but he's just going to use the tower in order to just get as many minions as he can. Almost perfect farm, well, except for one perfect farming in the tower. You love to see kind of these kind of things from pros, because it's kind of the hardest time to farm under the tower. Kanna's about to go mega, so maybe he actually looks to go for a fight up top here with his ult, but he didn't look to go for it. He could have used the hop to get on top of him, maybe ult, but Kennen also has his ult available, so it would have been a very risky play, and I think Summit is actually a very good player, to be honest. I think he's been playing extremely well, considering, you know, his team are usually falling behind at all stages, but at this point of the game, they haven't actually fallen behind, so I'm kind of curious to see if Summit can do anything. Obviously, we do see the Nidalee focusing bot way more because she's looking to use the CC from, for example, the Leona and the Varus in order to land a max range spear, because if she does, she's going to completely one-shot someone at this point. I don't agree with the fact that she's gone with a Night Harvester. The haste does help because, you know, you can throw more spears, kind of the same with Duskblade on Varus, but I really just don't think that's the best option. I think she should have just gone for Ludens here and gone Magic Pen, even though there is an Orianna for magic damage also, so I can see why she wants Night Harvester, but I think overall Night Harvester's only really the best mythic to go on champions that, you know, can hit people multiple times. So for example, Karthus, I think Karthus is great with Night Harvester because, you know, he can ult and it procs on everybody with his ult, so it's very, very good for that. But I think the penetration you get from Protobelt is just way, way more. Hey, how's it going, Abdul? How you doing, man? We're watching some extremely good games from T1. Like, extremely good. Like, they're playing so well. So the Varus is just going to instantly clear waves out now. He's got his Duskblade again. I think he should have gone with Prowler's Claw. It gives lethality from Mythic instead of... yeah, it gives lethality instead of haste, so I think it's much better here, and it gives Varus a repositional tool, especially considering he doesn't really have the ability to you know, get out otherwise. There we go. So there's the combo. Leona ult into the Nidalee spear. They just get instantly blown up. So this is where kind of Nidalee's good, and this is where Nidalee varies from kind of a solo queue pick compared to a competitive pick, because in comp you can actually set up multiple layers of CC so that Nidalee can always land those spears. So it does become very, very easy for her to function in competitive in comparison to solo queue, but obviously she's still a very, very mechanically difficult champion to play. They are going to look to start this Rift Herald. It's not too bad considering there's only Gromp available in the bottom side of the map, but for Viego this is kind of bad that they're trying to contest because his red buff is available right now. So what I'd love to see is this Varus actually push out mid and then just go and take the red buff away from the Viego, since they're trying to fight around a Herald that's not really going to do much. It did just reset. No, it didn't. It just changed aggro. It is just about to reset though. There we go. So now T1 are actually in a favorable position again, because even though it's reset, they can actually just stay and do a lot because Kennen is bot lane. He does have his TP, but I really don't think it's worth TPing for a Herald at 15 minutes unless your team are in a really, really bad situation. So I think they're gonna, I thought they were gonna take this time to go. I don't know if Teddy has info on the blue side red buff being up. 100% he will. It's competitive. Like, Viego doesn't have red buff, Aphelios doesn't have red buff. I mean, they saw the Kennen in lane as well. He wouldn't have taken the red buff, I don't think anyway. And they also had the you have timers on the buff. So the yellow timer means there's, I think they've changed it to 10 seconds. It used to be 15. Or it could have been 20, I can't remember. So it means that, you know, the buff is up in 10 seconds. So if nobody is on the map with the red and that kind of stopwatch comes up, then, you know, then it might have been 20 before and dropped to 15. Let me have a look. Okay, so it, oh no, it shows that it changes yellow at 20 seconds. I'm sure they changed that, no? I could have swore they changed it. Yeah, I mean, well, I mean, the wiki says 20 seconds. But I think this is just wrong. I think they did drop it to 15. Right, so either way, let's continue with the game. So now, I mean, to be honest, there's been barely any kills in this game. We had this first blood. Here we can see this combo again. They get the ward down. Kennen isn't even looking. And Leona gets the ult perfectly into the E, and he's just dead. Nidalee does too much damage, so as soon as she gets CC, she just one-shots people. So Nidalee does have her soul boots now as well, so I mean, she's very, very strong. Unfortunately, she hasn't gone with the Dark Seal, which I'm extremely surprised by. Leona actually gets pulled in by the Thresh Lantern with her E, which is actually a really cool interaction. You can also do a lot of things with Thresh Lantern. So for example, if you play Scanner, you can ult someone with a Scanner and then Thresh Lantern, and they will actually be pulled back into your team too. So there's a lot of interactions you can do with Thresh, and I actually think Scanner's a pretty good tank jungler right now. So I think we have to see some Scanner at World, surely. I mean, obviously you have the little mini game that he has to play, but I think the champion is just so good. I think he's so good. So Kanna actually manages to land an ult on Summit, but he does actually kind of flashes after him, and they manage to juggle the tower aggro so he doesn't actually die. So very, very good from the side of T1. They're going to use this Herald now to just siege the bottom inhibitor, or at least a bottom inhibitor tower. I don't want them to get the inhib here because I don't feel like they're in a game-ending position. So I do think, actually, maybe they're just going to look for the charge and that's it. Yep, that's fine. So Varus with a poke. So this game is going to be very, very scary for Sandbox. I don't think there's any way they can really win now, purely because even though Aphelios is very strong, he's just going to get poked out so much by the Varus Qs, which are lethality, and the Nidalee Qs. So it's going to be very, very difficult for them to do anything. They need to get a little bit of armor and then just stack MR, to be honest. Like, and then they can, yeah, so, I mean, now just has the ability to go in whenever he wants. So he did actually use his W on the minions here, so we didn't have it. If he did have it, then he would have been able to kill Summit, but he did manage to flash away, which does, you know, incentivize Canna to use his flash to chase him down a little bit. He looks just as shocked that he pulled that off. So now we can see that they are taking the dragon, which unfortunately is a cloud soul, which, you know, isn't too great. But, I mean, you do have a Leona ult, you have a Varus ult, which are going to be very good with extra movement speed. So, and obviously Na's got quite the useful ult in terms of get user movement speed in order to make sure that you guarantee to land your W. I can relate to kind of that daily life, mate. How am I? Oh, fair. Right. So they're just looking to siege this top tower right now, and they can't really look for any siege on bot lane. I think that TP was quite interesting from Faker, but he's using it to just get prio. It's going to be a nice 600 gold going over to them. Hopefully Warner doesn't try and share it. So right here, Nidalee just has to sit back and throw spears over and over and over and over. That's all she really needs to do. If she keeps throwing her spears, eventually when one hits, she can go off. Or, you know, if Leona gets it. Unfortunately, the soul does suck a little bit overall. It's probably the worst soul out of the 4. But Fate is actually going to chase Teddy. Nice sidestep to dodge the Everfrost. But he does get him with the chains over the wall anyway. So that was more so a good E by Fate rather than a bad flash by Teddy. So I just want to make sure that's known. Just because Teddy's flash was the most kind of optimal place he could flash to. I mean, he could have potentially ran down and maybe try and bush bait, like flash into the bush, but I don't think that would work at this level of play, to be honest. So, Summit actually gets a massive flank on the backline, and SKT, at T1's team, just gets absolutely melted here, and I need to stop saying SKT, but it's just habit. Like, they're not SKT anymore, they're T1, but it's just habit now. Sandbox actually get a Baron here, so Summit, honestly, is extremely powerful. He's a very good player. Like, I think Summit is being team diffed on this team so bad. I think he's actually so good. See, I started calling them steel caps though. So here, obviously, Teddy, nice aversion. I mean, to be fair, it was actually quite bad of a flash because, like, the chains were. It was kind of a straight line to where it was, but here you can see Summit just gets a massive trade. They've got no Varus, they can't really do anything. This is the power of Kennen. Kennen is so strong. Like, this champion is very, very good. Very interested if we'll see any Kennen mids though. I don't think so because, you know, its trading power is great against top laners, but against mid laners maybe not so much. But if they do take, like, the things like the Renekton or set mid, stuff like that, which we have been seeing. Even Tryndamere mid, I think Tryndamere mid will see play at Worlds, especially from Doinby. I think overall. So, if I'm T1 right now, I really want to look to start getting picks. Just because I feel like Sandbox's comp is extremely powerful later on into the game, especially with the Aphelios and the Kennen. These combos are just insane. Kennen combos with so many champions extremely well. Teddy prioritizing going for the poke on them over the wave, which I don't really like too much considering he is AD damage, so I don't like that he was using that there because he is going to be the main kind of wave clear for the time being against these super minions, since mages really struggle to clear when Baron has been achieved, should I say. So Croco looking for a kill on Canna. Canna's just going to instantly TP out, but the Kennen's going to stop him. Very, very sad. He did instantly TP to get out, but that also means that Naz TP is now down. Yeah, we saw Ken and Rel in a game the other day. So who was it that played it? So, oh, wait, oh. Hold on 1 second. There's a lot going on, but I can't remember who played Ken and Rel. Was it RNG? Okay, now they had Lucian. I swear I saw it. Was it EDG? Oh, it was, yeah, it was EDG. So they picked Ken and Rel. They got one really, really good example of the combo off, but overall they were just way too far behind to actually do anything. So EDG play it. And I think the other series we're going to look at, T1, also lock in a Rel. I don't think it's with Kennen though. So, yeah, Rel is great. I really like Rel. I think she's a really good champ. Her team fighting power is unbelievable. And she can deal with shielders very well because her Q breaks shields. So she's actually quite good into a lot of these enchanter bot lanes. But the meta is very hard engaged bot, so there's not as much room for enchanters, even though I think enchanters are good, but people don't want to play them. Like, which you can kind of see why. I mean, if you're playing enchanters and you miss position once, then you just die to a lot of the meta, like Leona and Thresh and Alistair even. So here, unfortunately, the Nard didn't manage to get that off. I think Rel's great as well. She's got very good level 1, and I think when we see a lot of Alistair, we'll see a lot of Rel playing into Alistair, since Rel does win the Alistair matchup, even though people don't think she does, but she does. Since, you know, Rel can E, and if Rel E's when Alistair WQs, it cancels his WQ. He just gets stunned instantly. So, it's just a thing that you need to be a lot better on Rel to win the matchup than you do on Alistair. So people get confused a lot because they get confused between difficulty and viability. So, right here again, I mean, Aphelios is strong, but like I said, I think it's going to be very, very difficult for them to actually do anything into the Aphelios due to... I feel like Aphelios is very... maybe it does. I like too hard to be able to pull it off a test, so I want... No, it's you can do it even with lag. Like, it's like a... It's very easy to do. But it's not very easy, but once you get the timing, it's quite easy. But yeah, you can 100%. You can, if Alistair WQs, you just E, and it'll stun him instantly because he's in your area. The only thing you have to be careful of is that you don't do it too soon, otherwise you'll E for no reason. Same with an ADC as well. You can put your E on an ADC, and obviously if Alistair goes to knock them up, you just E. Right, so, I mean, Silas is actually pretty strong in this game, but I think overall in terms of team comp, I mean, Faker's on his Ludens and his Saras right now, and Varus is going into a Collector, I think, but he's just finished his Duskblade and Mana Moon. Faker already building towards that Rabadons, which very, very nice to see. He also gets a lot of value out of that one item slot, which is good. Again, unfortunate that the Nidalee has gone with the Night Harvester, but that doesn't mean too much. It's also okay, I think, that she's gone with a Oblivion Orb. It means that Faker can prioritize into more damage, although, you know, it's a little bit harder for Nidalee to proc Oblivion Orb compared to some champs, but if she jumps on somebody, they're not going to be able to heal, which means she can assassinate them. When it comes to things like Silas, it's going to be very, very important there, so I don't mind that too much. Kennen's on his 3 items, which means, again, he's got that massive amount of magic pen that we discussed in the last game too. And, you know, Viego is getting close to his Sterak's now, so yeah. So they're just kind of playing it a little bit slow at this point. I do think SKT need to stop dragging their feet a little bit and try and force something, purely because Kennen is becoming quite scary. Now Canada has pushed bot lane out. He does have TP available. 2 TPs on the side of both teams, both available. So what you need to be looking for if you're T1 here is you need to try and bait those teleports out. And if you can bait the teleports out, then you can do a lot. Whoops, that was an accident, sorry. Kana going for a 1v1 on Summit, but he's in mini now, so as soon as a TP comes in from Silas, that's so bad. I mean, now though, I mean, Silas doesn't have TP, and so if Ken and Nara actually wait 40 seconds till he comes up, then they'll have a TP advantage. Faker TPs into mid, just so that they can stop them getting mid prior. Because if they get mid prior right now, then they can move on to either Baron or Dragon. Which again, the Dragon Soul is probably one of the worst case scenarios, but stats are stats. If they can get it and deny it, then why not? We are going to be looking 40 minutes until we get a Elder Dragon coming in. So that's not something we can really look for. Well, 40-45 minutes, should I say. So that's not really something we can look for just yet, although that will be a big win condition for both of these teams. Sandbox are playing more towards this top side of the lane, which means they are looking to prioritize Baron over Dragon, so they do have complete vision control of this area now, so this is very scary for a T1 to walk up to. This is obviously due to the fact that the Aphelios can clear as much as possible. Kyria, given his life, just running in, nice ult to be able to get as much space away from as possible. Nice use of Locket there as well. Nidalee misses a spear on Fate, unfortunately, but they are just going to look to potentially rush this Baron now, which this is completely suicidal from the side of Sandbox. They're playing into an Orianna, and they're trying to rush the Baron. So, Summit coming in, but he only manages to get one, but unfortunately Keria is going to die as well. This is an insane play by Summit, though. Keria jumps on top of Prince, and he also gets Varus queued, so Keria hard carrying this fight. Kana does have his ultimate available, so he is looking to just jump in. He does manage to catch one. The cleanse comes out of Aphelios there, but again, Aphelios is now on red-white guns, so this is one of the times where Aphelios wants to look to fight as much as he can, but in terms of the side of SKT or T1, you really don't want to. They really need to wait for him to drop this color combination before they try anything, but they're just going to get mid-pry and walk straight to the Dragon. We do see a really big flank coming in from Kana, though. I don't know how much rage he's on right now. Teddy gets kind of caught by the Silas ult, but Kana has absolutely no enrage right now, so he's completely useless in this side. So this is one of the reasons why Na's really not that good, because if you're not Mega, or you're not kind of on your way to becoming Mega, then it's very, very rough for you to actually do anything in fights, because you're very, very squishy in comparison to your Mega form, and they can just back away from the fight. Now we do see 8 stacks on the Dark Seal from the Silas. Faker's going straight damage into the Rabadons, but we do see those 8 stacks on the Dark Seal, so maybe we might see a Medjay as soon as he hits at 9 stacks and he doesn't lose any gold from it. So for note, Medjay's at 9 stacks is 100% gold efficient, so as long as you upgrade your Dark Seal around the 8 to 9 stacks mark, or I mean you can drop as low as like 5 to 6 if you're hard winning the game and you can get a kill very easily. But here we can see, if we just go back and kind of break this team fight down a little bit more, we have a lovely flank coming out of Summit on the side in order to get on top of Teddy. He is forced to flash, and then Summit does use his stopwatch, but we can see that Teddy does get a really, really nice ult to keep them all here. They do walk away from it, and the Nidalee throws some spears. We get a really nice Varus Q coming in there. If that was tied with a Nidalee spear, then that would have been so good. So I do think target prioritization a little bit off from T1. The Kana was a little bit early with that Na ult, and that obviously meant that they didn't manage to keep going with that kill. So a little bit off there in terms of where they're prioritizing. So we do manage to kill the Varus there, but T1 is just hard rushing this Baron right now, and I feel like this is very flip, considering this happened last game as well. Nidalee does manage to get it, thankfully, because of her Q and Smite. It does a lot. They're just trying to get out of this pit now and just keep as many Barons as possible. And they do manage to keep 2 Barons, and this is pretty good because, I mean, it does avoid the possibility of Sandbox getting Baron off this, so it's still not that bad. And if they do communicate properly, they can still use this Baron buff to potentially siege down the inhibs of the enemy. So a very risky player by T1, and they really love flipping Baron. Like, they really love flipping Baron, and now they actually lose their inhibitor for it. So the good thing is, though, here is Sandbox are nowhere near in a game-ending situation. So getting this inhibitor is, you know, not that amazing. Like, I mean, it's great, it's okay, but unless they can use this prio now, it's going to be very, very rough for them to actually do anything. Also, Abdul, I saw your sub on the channel. Appreciate you, man. Every sub goes a long way. So here we can see the Teddy is just kind of popping them so much, but the Kennen just gets on top of him, and there we see that third stack. He would have got stunned either way from that W. So, you know, it's very, very interesting. And then here, see, we get the nearly Q smite from about 1300 damage, but Canner is caught out again by Croco. It doesn't really matter too much because he has his E to get away. So this is the thing with Nara. He's very, very slimy. He's very hard to get, even if you come for a gank. If you come and gank the wrong way, it's just going to easily hop out, and that's kind of like a big issue. All for them Rammus things, of course. Armadillo boy is supporting us all the way. So Canna, rightly so, backs away from the tower. The Aphelios is very strong right now, but the problem is here, I feel like one big fight and T1 will take it. The gold difference, considering they're 5 kills down, is very, very even, and they're even on towers as well. So this just goes to show that even through this mid to late game, they're still keeping their overall gold up, even though they're not getting kills. So it seems like they're a very, very unshakable team in these kind of situations. Like, they're leaving very little openings. I mean, Teddy is kind of inted twice, and I mean, one of them was completely unneeded. Okay, Nidalee Spear almost hit. Nice nice ultimate from the Leona now, and Canner is going crazy. I would have loved to see him just jump in there and use his ultimate. Like, his team has plenty of follow-up. I think that was very, very defensive from him, especially when you're playing someone like Na, who really needs to make use of every time that you're mega, because that's the only time you can use your ultimate. So if you're not mega, you're going to be in a really bad situation. So Canna coming down, the TP coming in as well. Summit is looking in a very, very dangerous position. Faker goes in, but he flashes away from the Kennen, and Kennen has to use his stopwatch so that he doesn't die. Faker manages to get a kill there, and this is going to be the third dragon to T1, which is good because they're delaying the Elder away from Sandbox, which, even though Sandbox do scale better, I think with the overall poker that this comp provides. Okay, so really, really nice ult from the Silas at Steel now ult, but a insane shockwave from Faker. This is going to allow them to just run them down. Like, Faker just completely hard carried this fight like crazy. From the initial flash in to get away from the Kennen to that, and now are they going to base race? So I think the Nar is actually going to come and look to clear on his own, and they're just going to go for the end. 3 members down on the side of Sandbox. So Viego did manage to reset, but the Nas TPing in. They're going to protect these minions and just look to end. Okay, Varus in the back just kiting. So yeah, crazy. Like, one big fight and they just win. I think having Faker on this team is just too OP. So okay, so they actually won it. Nice. So a clean 3-0 to T1. So I mean, from this series alone, like, they have had quite a lot of mistakes. They really like flipping objectives like Baron. Teddy is kind of a little bit iffy at times. He'll push for no reason. The prioritization around objectives is a little bit off. So I think T1's vision, objective game is a little bit rough. But they have insanely talented kind of players, and they work really well as a unit. So okay, so we'll end that one there.